I've worked in Korea as a DSP engineer for over 12 years now. I did my master's here in Jeju National University, and then I worked for 7 odd years in Gwangju before I moved up north and worked in Seoul for another 6 years or so.
Yeongdeung Market. The doors are on your right.
Now, rather than just share my own personal experience, I've asked other engineers working in Korea to share their views as well. Now, if you're not really keen on sitting through the entire video, here's the short answer. As a foreigner, as an engineer, Korea is not an ideal destination in the long term. You could come over, work for a few years, get some experience, make some money, and then leave. That's the short answer. Drop a like for the video, subscribe to the channel if you feel like it, and move along to the next video. Well, if you're sticking around, let's start with, how do you find a job in Korea?
Yeah, so I'm Caesar from Brazil. Totally, I've been 4 years in Korea.
What did you study?
Electrical engineer. I came jobless and then I found work here. Yeah. On another website, the Rocket Punch, I think. So some guy told me that this is what the Koreans look for. Okay. Then I got I think I created my profile there. Maybe in less than a month, I got 3 interviews.
Then you also have Job Korea and Saramin. But you need to be really fluent in Korean to navigate through those websites, and the chances of you getting a call back are pretty low if you are a foreigner.
Junyoung Lee. I am the CEO of Melding Factory, which I founded 5 years ago.
I've hired a foreigner from Job Korea,
Oh, really?
and it worked out really well.
Hi, my name is Ralph, and I'm a CrossFit coach here.
Korean name is Taeung. So I was born and raised in Korea. I moved to the States when I was in 5th grade. Okay. So I just briefly visited Korea after high school. Ended up just staying here for, now it's been 12 years now. Yeah, so I went to grad school as well too. So I have a master's in engineering. The structure was definitely more vertical than horizontal.
Got it. I agree with Ralph. Korean companies can be very hierarchical, especially established companies where you'll have to address everyone as Sajangnim or Team Jangnim. The boss's wife, who also worked in the same company, pulled me aside one day and asked me,
"Why are you leaving work at 6 p.m. every day?
Aren't the working hours from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m.?
That is true, but you need to show that you're committed to the cause.
So you want me to stay after working hours?
Well, you can leave after the boss leaves or maybe an hour after work.
Do I have to stay even if I finish all my work on time?
Yes.
And you get off work like on time.
Okay, you don't have to.
Yeah, I mean,
don't have to do the
overtimes. You don't really get too much overtime.
Got it.
Yeah, so your work-life balance is really good. You basically have like the entire evening to yourself.
Yeah, one point of view with the work is this, which is part of the culture, is this work balance, right? So in these years, I think I had maybe 1 week of vacation, maybe, or 2 max. And I mean, how can I visit my family abroad? It takes 1 week just for the flight.
While at most companies you don't get that work-life balance, at some companies you do. But what you'll really find difficult to do is take a few weeks off every year to go back home to see your family. So if that's something you want, Korea isn't for you. There is a Korean word called kondae. It refers to a person from an older generation who is rigid and stuck in their ways and expects everyone working under them to implicitly obey them. This sort of behavior was so common 30 years ago to the point, this is what Malcolm Gladwell, the author of the book Outliers, had to say.
Korean Air had more plane crashes than almost any other airline in the world for a period at the end of the 1990s. When we think of airplane crashes, we think, oh, they must have had old planes. They must have had badly trained pilots. No. What they were struggling with was a cultural legacy. That Korean culture is hierarchical. You are obliged to be deferential toward your elders and superiors.
Is it changing? Has it changed? Yes, but the problem still exists. In the first company I worked at in Gwangju, if an employee made a mistake, my boss would go berserk and scream at them. It was an extremely toxic place. In my second company in Seoul, it was a whole lot better than what I experienced in Gwangju, but there were other challenges. We had a total of 5 different engineers from 5 different countries. All 5 of them left the company within a 2 to 3 year period. The different reasons were: I'll start with the health issues. The air in Seoul can get really toxic and can sometimes last for days. Among other complaints, the air quality was a big factor in my Swedish friend's decision to head back to Sweden. Then there's the stress factor that arises from Korea's workaholic culture. South Korea has one of the longest working hours among OECD countries, but not everyone thinks it's a bad idea.
That's why I say, like, in the Korean economy, they grow very fast. Just only 35 years, and then they now like in the rank 7. Why? Because they have to like work a lot.
Okay.
That's why like Asian now is the raising. Yes.
So you think like if you work very hard, that'll help the company, help the country. So it's okay to work hard sometimes. It's okay to push yourself.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
No pain, no gain.
Okay.
I have one case want to talk.
Go on.
My boss. Is it Korean company?
Okay.
Yeah. And my boss, he don't put anyone in the company.
Okay.
But the employee is still working overtime, overnight.
Okay.
And
why?
They work for the 5 or 10 years.
Okay.
So the target for my boss is he wants to make the employee in the company is happy.
Okay.
So the first view for the happy is earn more money.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can relate to both of them. I was born into a poor family. We were really poor growing up. Like, buying a decent pair of shoes was a luxury for us. When I came to Korea in 2007, I came with $500 that I borrowed from my dad, and that's all the money I had. And I was willing to work as hard as I could to make it. But now that I have some money, would I be willing to take a job where I'm forced to work 60 hours a week? No, I wouldn't. Sometime last year, I visited the university where I did my master's. Now, when I was a student there, it was just me and a Chinese guy, and the rest were all Koreans. But now, over 50% of the students were from India, Pakistan, and other South Asian countries. People working their way up in life don't ask for a work-life balance. Neither does Korea. Unless you're brought in as a manager to oversee operations in a Korean firm, it's extremely unlikely that you'll be promoted to the very top starting as a worker in Korea. One of the reasons people flock to the US, UK, or West in general is that it doesn't matter where you start from, as long as you're good at what you do, there is a pathway to the top. You don't get that here in Korea. Irrespective of your skill set, a Korean will always be given preference over you as a foreigner. And there are reasons why that is, but I'm not going to go into it in this video. Korea makes it extremely difficult to get a permanent visa. If a Korean company hires you, they will sponsor your visa, and that will give you a E7 visa, which you will have to renew every year. But to make that jump from an E7 to an F5 visa, which is a permanent resident visa, that's the tricky part. I did my master's here in Korea. I've lived here for over 18 years. My yearly salary puts me among the top 25%. I always pay my taxes. In fact, I pay more in taxes than the average Korean. I have no criminal record, but I'm still not eligible for a permanent residency. Why? Because I'm not proficient in Korean. Irrespective of your skill set, you're expected to either pass TOEIC level 5 or sit through 500 hours of a Korean immigration and integration program to get a permanent residency. My Filipino friend, probably one of the smartest engineers I've met, signed up for the Korean integration program. But between working overtime and attending the KIIP classes, he just couldn't do it. And he left for the UK last year, where he now works for a Fortune 500 company. The British company he works for as an engineer is also helping him bring his girlfriend over to England. Korea's argument is that it wants to avoid the problems it sees in the US and Europe, where foreigners struggle to integrate with the local culture and people. It's a valid argument, but a highly skilled engineer who is in demand is not going to sit around mastering the Korean language.
Let's say you come from a relatively good school, you did electrical engineering, and you wanted to be hired as a hardware engineer or an electrical engineer. I would say somewhere fair would be anywhere between 35 million to 55 million. Like if you're going to Samsung, I'm pretty sure they'll pay you 55 million.
That's the starting pay.
Yeah, but that's
Fresh out of school.
Yeah,
55.
I would imagine something like that. But on the startup side and smaller company side, I would imagine probably anywhere between 35 to like 45 maybe.
Having said all this, should you still come to Korea? I'd repeat what I said early on. Come and stay for a few years. It's a fast-paced lifestyle, it's really safe, and you can experience everything Korea has to offer and then leave after a few years. Because, based on Korea's immigration policy, I'd say Korea doesn't want you to stick around either.